Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss and analyze about one of the most important project that had been unveiled by China 10 years back. That is BRI, which obviously stands for the Belt and Road Initiative. So this year 2023 marks the 10th years of the Belt and Road Initiative, and in this regard, we are going to discuss that what has been overall impact of this project, what is the concerns related to that project, how India has responded to this particular project, and what are the challenges that India had faced earlier and might face as the future goes, as the project goes on in the future as well. So both basically we talk about the past of the project, the current status, as well as the future of the project is what we are going to discuss. But first, to give you a brief context of the topic that we are talking. So as we discussed, it is the 10th year. Actually year 2013 was when the first time the then president of or premier of China, Xi Jinping, has announced or unveiled BRI, that is Belt and Road Initiative, which was also known earlier by the name of OBOR, that is One Belt One Road Initiative. However, later on or in these days, BRI is most common terminology. So spanning from Africa to Asia and seeing investments worth billions of dollars as estimated by the OECD, it has also come under criticism over the years about how sustainable the debts that China give to the countries to participate in this project can be, and whether the countries are not benefiting but rather falling in the debt trap of the China, especially the developing economies. Now, President Xi Jinping announced the Silk Road Economic Belt during his visit to Kazakhstan, that was in year 2013. So basically the idea, what was the idea behind the BRI? So as we can see here, the main idea behind was to what we can say somehow imitate the ancient Silk Road initiative, or at least the part of the project is somewhat based on the ancient Silk Route belt or Silk Belt that used to extend all the way from China to Europe, passing through the Central Asia and also extending to the India as well. So to revitalize a series of trading and infrastructure routes between Asia and Europe. And in this regard, the connectivity has to be through the Central Asia, that is countries that consist of Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan slightly to the south as well. And apart from developing a road based infrastructure, the project also envisioned developing a sea road, or what we can call as the sea trade infrastructure. This maritime road would connect China with the Southeast Asia, Europe and Africa, and obviously it will pass through the Indian Ocean through the south of India. If we talk about the BRI, though it is criticized as being a debt trap diplomacy kind of a thing that has been unveiled by China, overall it was based on 5 original principles. These principles were policy coordination, where each of the countries who is a participant in this particular project will coordinate their policies and formulate their policy in such a manner that they can have a seamless flow of goods and people through this particular project. Second is infrastructure connectivity that includes infrastructure such as you have roadway infrastructure, you have railways infrastructure, you have maritime infrastructure that is largely dependent on the development of the port, maintenance of the port and connectivity to the port, and also it includes the what we can say is pipeline based infrastructure, especially for transportation of crude oil and natural gas like commodities. Third important aspect of this project was focus on the trade, obviously, and fourth was financial integration, and fifth was people to people connection across all the countries which are participant of this particular project. Later on, recently, a sixth principle also has been added, which is the industrial cooperation. Now, apart from this, if we try to understand that apart from ideas, what was the goal that Xi Jinping or the Chinese government wanted to achieve via this project? So basically, through the BRI, China wanted to resolve two major concerns that it was facing, especially in the decades of 2000, between the decades of 2010 to 2020. First was China was having a large capital surplus, which it did not know how to spend. Domestically, spending already has been done to such an extent that there has been a lot of ghost cities that has come up in China, where there are so much infrastructure, but no one is there to live. And second was industrial overcapacity, as we discussed that whatever Chinese industry are producing, it was not, it was more than enough what is required by the domestic industry, what we can say demand. So to basically solve the problems of capital surplus and industrial overcapacity, as well as at the same time increasing the Chinese political influence in a broader region that is extending all the way from Asia to Central Asia to Europe, and also to the Southeast Asia and South Asia. Basically this project has been unveiled. And if you look at the two major reputed institutions such as World Bank, it has estimated that overall investment in BRI project can exceed $575 billion. While if we look at the figure that is given by OECD, that is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, it says that BRI investment projects were likely to add $1 trillion in funding between 2017 to 2027. That is in a decade, or in a time period of over a decade, which is very, very high, what we can say, amount of capital that can be deployed by this project. Now, what is the current status? So, first of all, at the 10th anniversary of the BRI initiative, BRI forum which took place, Chinese government has declared that more 150 countries and 30 international organizations have embraced the BRI. It also has reported that about 3,000 BRI projects, that is spanning through the land, through the sea, valued at almost $1 trillion, are currently underway across the globe. Originally, the initiative proposed 6 international economic corridors. So let us try to understand on the map that if BRI project becomes fully functional, then how the connectivity can be ensured across the globe. So as we discussed, originally 6 major projects had been envisioned as a part of BRI. The first project was at a smaller scale, connecting the China to the Mongolia, and further through Mongolia to the Russia. So we have CMR, that is Chinese Mongolia Russian corridor. Second corridor again was a land bridge that basically aimed to connect the China via Kazakhstan and further to the central part of Kazakhstan to the central part of Russia. That is what it is referred as New Eurasian Land Bridge. Third part of the project was China Central Asia West Asia corridor, as we can see, which is originating from the China, passing via countries such as Uzbekistan, then passing via countries such as Turkmenistan, Iran, going all the way up to Turkey, and from Turkey it is entering into the Black Sea, and from there also we can understand the connectivity can be ensured to the European Union region. Then fourth was a small project of which is India's biggest problem, that is CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And then we have the other corridor, that is again a land-based corridor connecting the China with Southeast Asia, that is China-Indo-China corridor, which is passing from China. It also actually envisioned to connect the eastern part of this road network also, that was China-Bangladesh India corridor, which however India has not participated in this project, that this is something that has not taken off. Now, if you look at this, then China-Indo-China corridor basically connects China to Myanmar, Myanmar to Thailand, and further to Malaysia and Singapore. So these were the total, what we can say, 5 land-based corridor, and one corridor is, as we can say, spanning all the way from Southeast China Sea, East China Sea, then all the way to Indian Ocean, that is Bay of Bengal, passing through Strait of Malacca, and then going all the way up to Africa, and from Africa then traversing through the Red Sea, passing via Suez Canal. It aimed to connect via Mediterranean Sea to the Western Europe or European Union region, which includes major countries such as Italy, Portugal, France, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands. So this was the original plan if Belt and Road Initiative basically attains its overall objective. Now, the problem is that currently many experts believe that many countries which was earlier very much interested in participating in this project, becoming part of this revolution project, are not showing such interest anymore. And this can be obviously seen from the number of participants who have been continuously decreasing in the Belt and Road Forum initiative that has taken every year since the 2013. And if you look at the figure this year, the number of participants have been minimum. That means out of the 10 years, it has attracted less number of the participants. Now, if you look at the cooling of interest, what can be the reason behind this? So, a lot of contemporary developments had happened all across the world, especially the geopolitical tensions that has been simmering from past 2 years between the Russia and USA. And obviously, since China has supported Russia in almost all its initiatives, whether it is about the war in Ukraine or general initiative as a counter to West, that has caused a lot of troubles, because US earlier, though it was not very critical of this project, now it has sharpened its criticism. And since US has sharpened its criticism, its effect can also be seen on the allied partners of US, especially the European Union countries. And European Union itself has been promoting regional integration initiative, and thus it is more focused on its own regional integration as compared to being part of the BRI initiative. Apart from that, there has been growing skepticism and apprehensions also about what has been or what is the actual interest or actual objective of Beijing, intention of Beijing, in the way many projects has been implemented, especially the recent example we can take of Sri Lanka, where Sri Lanka's economic situation, Pakistan also we can understand Pakistan's economic situation, all these has very much deteriorated, and to some extent the debt trap diplomacy of China can be blamed for this. Now, if you look at that, these evolving perceptions also mirror the European Union's reassessment of its relationship with China, because especially in the wake of Russia-Ukraine war, EU has actually re-evaluated its relationship with almost all the partners of Russia, and China is the major one. And this can be understood based from the recent example where Italy, which was the only G7 countries to have participated formally, officially in the BRI initiative, it has withdrawn in this particular year, especially after the Meloni government, which is considered to be the very right-wing government that has come into power. And this is a very, very major setback, at least in, if not in economic sense, at least in symbolic sense. And thus, it will also basically prevent other European Union countries from participating in this project, because it will send a negative kind of message. Now, the most important part of this project is CPEC, that is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And CPEC is something that has been a flagship BRI project from the very, very beginning. It was always was a very important component, very major component of the overall BRI project, because via CPEC, China wanted to solve its Malacca dilemma. Now, what is Malacca dilemma? It basically refers to a situation where the most of the Chinese oil and gas or maritime trade through West Asia or European Union region is passing via Indian Ocean, and then when it enters into the South China Sea, it passes by a very narrow canal which is situated between Indonesia and Malaysia and Singapore. And since Indian Navy plays a very dominant role in this area, there is a potential that in case of adverse relationship or warlike situation developing between India and China, India could cut off this particular route and thus can cripple the trade of the China, and especially the oil and gas, which is very, very important for any kind of whether it is about development of water machineries or any kind of industrial development. And thus, China aimed to basically bypass this Strait of Malacca via developing a overland pipeline, gas pipeline kind of route, that, and also along with it railway and supported by railway and roadways infrastructure. And thus, directly after passing through Red Sea, the Chinese oil and gas can be transported overland via Pakistan, brought to the Xinjiang region of China, and from there it can be taken to different regions of China. So that is why it has always been a flagship project, and overall it is estimated to have cost $60 billion. And this is also very important because China and Pakistan both claim themselves to be their all-weather friend, and thus this is a representative of the strategic partnership and bilateral free trade agreement that both countries have signed. Now, this obviously is made up of two kinds of projects, as we have discussed: energy related projects, road and railways infrastructure. And obviously, if you want to bring crude oil and natural gas through the overland route, you have to have a well-functioning port, and that is why Gwadar port has been chosen in Pakistan. So now a few CPC projects are also likely to be extended to Afghanistan as well, since Afghanistan is now ruled by Taliban, and thus there is potential of more better collaboration between China, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan, however, is going through a very difficult political as well as difficult economic scenario. However, many experts believe that no matter what happens, Pakistan will not abandon this CPEC project. The reason is very simple. First of all, it is going to help integrate its economy with China, and second, it also will be seen as a counter to India's interest, which Pakistan will have advantage when it is when we are talking about the domestic political situation of the Pakistan. So this is somehow the project looks like, as you can see, starting from the Gwadar port in the Arabian Sea. Then we have almost a highway that extends for 1,264 kilometers, passing via Pakistan occupied Kashmir up to Kashgar, which is a region in the Xinjiang part of the China. So what is the position or view of India as far as the BRI project is concerned? Now, India's position on the BRI has always been clear and always remained consistent since 2013. The reason is BRI project poses several concerns to India. First is obviously the sovereignty related issues, as we have discussed right now, as we have seen right now in this past map, that the part of CPEC is passing through POK, that is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and thus India says that since it has always been an integral part of India, it violates its sovereignty. Second reason is that geopolitical implication of many projects that China is building through the Indian Ocean, especially development of ports that is happening to many countries such as Myanmar, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and some African countries as well. A commercial ports can easily be converted into military uses. Thus, in times of future war between India and China, China can use this maritime ports to launch attacks against India. So these developments have troubled Indian policymakers and analysts as well. The third point is that negative development that has happened in overall broader India-China relationship, especially after the incursion of Chinese military into the different regions of Ladakh part of India through the Aksai Chin region. It also has increased the tension between the governments of both countries, especially due to trade deficit, border tensions and all, as we have discussed. Thus, what we can say that India directly has refrained from endorsing BRI, has always refrained from participating directly in the infrastructure projects of BRI, as we have discussed in the earlier map. It is, however, a part of very important institution, that is AIIB, that is Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and this bank is largely led by China. And thus, since this bank is one of the major lender of the BRI initiative, we can say that directly, though India is confronting this BRI initiative, it is opposing BRI initiative or not very interested in BRI initiative, indirectly it is supporting via the AII bank since its inception. Now, if we try to understand that why India is so much concerned about this, we can look at the map itself. For example, here we have India, here we have China, and if you look at especially the maritime part of the this BRI initiative, we can see that China is trying to build a lot of ports here. Though it is portrayed as a commercial port, the problem is that it can be very easily converted into military. So we have port at Chittagong, we have port at Myanmar that has been taken. Myanmar, we have that port is functional. Then we have Sri Lanka, Hambantota, then Maldives, Seychelles, Tanzania, Kenya, Djibouti, Oman. So as you can see, it is kind of, you can see a ports that has been constructed, developed by China, and these countries, they are encircling overall entire Indian landmass, and this can pose a severe threat in case of naval warfare. Now the problem is that the concern is not only about the geopolitical tensions and its impact on the BRI project. The other concern also is the Chinese economy itself. And basically, in 2019, the Chinese economy was 42 times larger than what it was in 1980, and that is the reason why there was so much enthusiasm, so much interest about the BRI project. However, in the last 15 years, and also we can understand last 15 years, China was also a major global contributor in the overall GDP growth. However, this had seemed to change in past 5 to 10 years. Some slowdown though have been taken into account in the BRI strategy. The slowdown is believed to be much more worse than what it was factored in, what it was thought to be in the initial strategy. So current geopolitical tensions resulting in decoupling or de-risking measure that has been taken by US as well as Europe collectively and many others to reduce their own economic dependency on China might adversely affect the Chinese economy as well as BRI expansion. So overall, all these situations seems to basically send us a signal that BRI project is actually in the troubled waters. However, in the wake of these developments, China will have to re-strategize some of the BRI projects, and maybe if it is able to re-strategize, again it can basically, if not what I can say in the same way how it was planning before, to some extent it can basically revitalize the BRI project. Now, the most important question is that BRI project is not something that is what I can say that is all associated with China as a whole, but largely it is very, very important for the Xi Jinping himself, who is in the third what I can say third phase of his particular control or ruling over China. Now, despite facing criticism, the BRI has already cultivated a substantial diplomatic and geopolitical leverage for China within the global south. Thus, West is still scrambling to provide an alternative to the BRI in terms of infrastructure investment. So basically, the question comes to the point that these small countries which are active participant of BRI project, though there is a possibility that they can get trapped in the debt trap diplomacy of China, there is no other alternative. For example, if US, European Union could have given them a different alternative with safer investment, with better prospect in future, they could have abandoned BRI, but due to lack of any kind of alternative, this is something that they have to participate in. And thus, faced with challenging geopolitical and economic landscapes, China is now adjusting its ambition, aiming to pivot toward green and smaller scale development rather than grandiose plan which it has unfurled in the initial days. Undoubtedly, BRI stands as President Xi's most ambitious foreign policy endeavor, and in 2017 he dubbed it the project of the century, and it is a part of his long-term dream of China-dominated world. Thus, the success and failure of BRI will not be only success and failure of China as a whole, but also personal success and failure of the President Xi Jinping. So that is all about this particular project. I hope you understood that how the project is faring in the 10th year of its inception. That is all. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such content. Thank you very much.